Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby, and everybody wondering what is going to happen with Iran. President Trump keeps saying that there will be severe repercussions if they don't come to the table. And then there's some reports that Steve Witkoff and also Jared Kushner and those guys are saying to the president that it doesn't look like Iran is coming to the table. So what's next, John? That's the big question.
Well, the Ford, the aircraft carrier, is cruising there. That'll give 2 aircraft carriers in that area. That's a lot of might. And that's a lot of might, and along with all the other battleships. And with us today to tell us what the heck is going on is KT McFarland. Yep, the great former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump. KT, what do you think's going to happen?
Well, President Trump's setting himself up where he has a lot of different options. As John just said, he has enormous firepower in the region with this armada of ships. But he's also given, laid down the law with Iran. He wants 3 things: stop your nuclear program, stop your missile program, and stop your proxies. Iran is unlikely to agree to those. So I think President Trump is setting it up so he's going to have a justified sense of some kind of an attack if he chooses to do it. But the real thing, and the difference between Iran and Venezuela and all the other countries he's dealt with, is that with Iran, the mullahs don't want a deal. They're religious zealots and extremists. They'll go down as martyrs. They just want to figure out how can they take as many people down with them. So I think that what President Trump is doing is they've got to figure out what is the Iranian military going to do. Those are the guys who really hold all the power.
Judge Weinberg.
KT, good to talk to you again. My problem is you have to have a regime change, because after Donald Trump is no longer the president, or God forbid, if the Republicans lose control of the House or the Senate, he's going to be a quasi-lame duck. He's going to be impeded every turn. And if mullahs stay in power, they just reconsolidate, keep feeding the terrorist networks that they've created more and more. They will continue to be a threat to Western civilization and to the Middle East.
Yeah, the problem is, Judge, what happens next? You could get rid of the mullahs, but then who's in charge? Who's going to run the place? We're not going to run the place. Are the Iranians, as the Iranian military, are they going to try to have a military dictatorship? So while I think that it's a really good idea that you're saying we have to think the long term of this, but what is the long term? What is the end goal that we want? We don't just want the mullahs gone. We want an Iran with no nuclear weapons, isn't trying to destroy Israel, and doesn't have missiles that could carry nuclear weapons. And that's what's America's first interest. So I don't know how President Trump's going to pull rabbits out of this hat, but the one thing we have seen, whether it's with Maduro in Venezuela or with the Iranian nuclear facilities, which he's not hesitant to use force as long as it's limited and he has an idea of what comes after the use of force.
I mean, my personal opinion is that the Israelis will use the ground force and the Americans will use the Air Force. Any gut feeling?
Yeah, I mean, look, any kind of a battle that we would have, we would win. And because President Trump has been very careful to make sure we now have control for a large part of world oil, so even if there's some problem in the Gulf, even in the Strait of Hormuz, it's not going to throw the world economy into some kind of a tailspin. So he's giving himself a lot of options. But at the end of the day, who's going to run Iran? And that's the big question. The mullahs, they're not going to make a deal. They're going to go down with the ship. But the real power in Iran is the military, because it's not like our military where you just have, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. In Iran, the military is the entire defense industrial complex. They own companies. They run the country. So where are they in all this? And as President Trump can do a deal with this group, with the Iranian military, then he's got a prospect for not just peace, but all of the objectives that he wants to achieve.
That's a great point,
KT,
Judge.
Is there a difference between the general military and the Revolutionary Guard? And is there one to play?
The Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC, is really incorporates all of it. It's the Iranian intelligence services. It's the Iranian internal militia, like when we think of FBI, CIA. It's everything thrown into one. And they also own things. They own the defense industrial base in Iran. So they really are the power. So that I've got to assume that whatever we're going to do with Iran, we've got that figured out. Because would they pull their support from the mullahs? They have no particular loyalty to the mullahs. The IRGC, the Iranian military, they're not the religious zealots. Would they be willing to cut a deal? Maybe they would cut a deal as long as they could keep their financial position and their power. As long as the deal is that no nukes, no missiles, don't try to destroy Israel.
Yeah.
Michael Carey.
Hi, KT. Michael Carey. We're old friends from way back. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah.
Real quick, there's been a lot of talk of late that the Iran economy has really, broken, and that they're basically down to little or nothing. That's one thing. And then the other thing is, obviously Trump came up with this model in Venezuela as opposed to disbanding the government in Iraq, which was a disaster. Is that a possibility here, just given what the judge said about the sort of permanent government there, that might be an interest in having a government that functions at some level because they want to stay in power and keep what they've got accumulated, as opposed to just going down with the ship like the mullahs are resigned to do?
Time is not on Iran's side.
Right.
We have shut them out of the international oil market. That's their only source of income. Iran's economy is in a tailspin. The mullahs are getting there out. They're like rats, as Secretary Besson says, rats leaving the ship. They're putting all their money offshore. And believe it or not, Iran, and the capital city of Iran, Tehran, is running out of water. So the longer this crisis goes on, the bigger problem Iran has, not just with its governance, with the United States, but frankly with its own people.
Yes.
Have you heard any updates, KT, too, on what's going on? I was hearing reports over the weekend. It makes me sick to my stomach of that they're actually the mullahs are sending in execution crews into the hospital beds where protesters who are injured are being terminated. What are you hearing of what's going on the ground? Because there's such a blackout.
Remember, the mullahs, their mindset is that if you don't agree with them, they think they speak for Muhammad. They think they speak for Allah. And if you don't agree with them, they have a responsibility to execute you. So would they be as heartless and as ruthless as murdering people in their hospital beds? You bet. Would they be as bad as gunning down, women and children? Absolutely. Remember, Hamas was bankrolled by Iran. So that same mindset of Hamas is the same mindset of the mullahs in Iran.
Well, it is a mess, and, we can't let people forget that Iran paid those Hamas families $20,000 per family to send their oldest child, give them the guns, and go out and rape and plummet and pillage.
It's called the pay-to-slay plan. If you were to go out, if your family has 4 kids, one son's going to go as a suicide bomber, he gets paid, the family thinks that's a good job.
Unbelievable. It really is amazing.
Very sad. Very sad.
It is. It is so sad. KT, thank you very much. We love having you on. It's really, really great and great to have you back, KT. We love you.
Thank you, KT.
Thank you, KT.
Thank you.